most noticeable feature was a dazzling smile that made his deep brown eyes sparkle. But now he was jabbering away like a fast-pitch salesman. Jamie wondered if it was nerves or relief to be out on his own, in charge. Or maybe, Jamie thought, the guy was simply overjoyed at the prospect of flying. Both men were suited up at last, helmet visors down, life support systems functioning, radio checks completed. Jamie and Trudy walked with them to the airlock hatch. Two Earthlings accompanying a pair of ponderous robots. Jamie shook hands with Rodriguez. His bare hand hardly made it around the astronaut's glove, with its servo-driven exoskeleton bones on its back. "Good luck, Tomas," he said. "Don't take any unnecessary risks out there." Rodriguez grinned from behind his visor. "Hey, you know what they say. There are old pilots and bold pilots, but there are no old bold pilots." Jamie chuckled politely. As mission director, he felt he had to impart some final words of wisdom. "Remember that when you're out there," he said. "I will, boss. Don't worry." Fujita stepped up to the hatch once Rodriguez went through. Even in the bulky suit, even with sparrow-like Trudy Hall standing behind him, he looked small, somehow vulnerable. "Good luck, Mitsuo," said Jamie. Through the sealed helmet, Fujita's voice sounded muffled but unafraid. "I think my biggest problem is going to be listening to Tomas's yakking all the way to the mountain." Jamie laughed. "And back, most likely," Fujita added. The indicator light turned green, and Trudy pressed the stud that opened the inner hatch. Fujita stepped through, carrying his portable life support satchel in one hand. "He's all right," Jamie told himself. "Mitsuo's not scared or even worried." Once they had clambered into the plane's side-by-side seats and connected to its internal electrical power and life support systems, both men changed. Rodriguez became all business, no more chattering. He checked out the plane's systems with only a few clipped words of jargon to Stacy Dezhirova, who was serving as flight controller back in the dome's comm center. Fujita, for his part, felt his pulse thundering in his ears so loudly he wondered if the suit radio was picking it up. Certainly the medical monitors must be close to the red line. His heart was racing so hard. Like the expedition's remotely piloted soar planes, the rocket plane was built of gossamer-thin plastic skin stretched over a framework of ceramic plastic surplast. To Fujita, it looked like an oversized model airplane made of some kind of kitchen wrap, complete with an odd-looking six-bladed propeller on its nose. But it was big enough to carry two people. Huge compared to the unmanned soar planes. Rodriguez said it was nothing more than a fuel tank with wings. The wings stretched wide, drooping to the ground at their tips. The cockpit was tiny, nothing more than a glass bubble up front. The rocket engines, tucked in where the wing roots joined the fuselage, looked too small to lift the thing off the ground. The plane was designed to use its rocket engines for takeoffs. Then, once at altitude, it would run on the prop. Solar panels painted onto the wing's upper surface would provide the electricity to power the electrical engine. There was too little oxygen in the Martian air to run a jet engine. The rockets were the plane's main muscle, the solar cells, its secondary energy source. Back in the dome, Jamie and the others crowded over Dezhrova's shoulders to watch the takeoff on the comm center's desktop display screen. As an airport, the base left much to be desired. The bulldozed runway ran just short of 2 kilometers in length. There was no taxiway. Rodriguez and a helper, often Jamie, simply turned the fragile plane around after a landing so it was pointed up the runway again. There was no windsock. The atmosphere was so rare that it made scant difference which way the wind was blowing when the plane took off. The rocket engines did most of the work of lifting the plane off the ground and providing the speed it needed for the broad, drooping wings to generate enough lift for flight. Jamie felt a dull throbbing in his jaw as he bent over Dezhirova, watching the final moments before takeoff. With a conscious effort, he unclenched his teeth. There are 2 men in that plane, he told himself. If anything goes wrong, if they crash, they'll both